Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our lunch lab today. I'm Sally Delisle, co-owner and director of trainings at ChildLight Education Company. Our mission is providing wellness education to create happy, healthy, and resilient youth and families. Today, I am here with Rochelle Jewell, founder and creator of Yoga in Action. Rochelle is a certified Kripalu yoga teacher and a trauma-informed yoga teacher who creates safe and sacred spaces for students. And Rochelle, you have a lot more to add to what I just explained. Rochelle and I have known each other for many years, initially through ChildLight, teaching as trainers side by side. And still, Rochelle and I enjoy spending time bouncing ideas off of each other and checking in on each other, just as far as well-being practices, making sure that we are walking the walk and talking the talk. So, Rochelle, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Sally. And it is my honor and privilege to be here today. And just as you elaborated on my introduction, you took what I was going to add to it. Is that Sally and I have worked together for several years as trainers and collaborated on projects with ChildLight and have enjoyed a friendship as well. So I'm very happy to be here. And I am the founder and director of Yoga in Action. We are a nonprofit based in the Seacoast area of New Hampshire, but expanding into other areas of the country, even with in-person classes and with our virtual classes, which we've been offering for the past 3 years.
Beautiful, excellent. So, Rochelle, it was a year, maybe even 2 years ago now, that you reached out and offered to share a segment on the topic of SEVA with the ChildLight 200-hour teacher trainees. And at first I remember being confused and saying to you, Rochelle, do you mean you want us to offer it to your population, or you want, I didn't understand. And then you said, no, I am offering my time and my knowledge to your teacher trainees. And I said, do you mean you're volunteering your time to the program? And you said, yes. I remember feeling so grateful, surprised, humbled, excited, because it's not something that happens every day that someone reaches out to us to offer their time and knowledge to our community. And that is an example of SEVA. You are offering SEVA on the topic of SEVA. Is that true?
Yes, that's true. So we've been doing this work as an organization. I've been practicing SEVA for years prior to Yoga in Action, but as an organization since 2012, we've been providing free and accessible yoga to a wide variety of populations. And as we've grown and expanded, I have folks reaching out to me all the time, asking me, how do you do this? And how can I get involved? And I do tons of one-on-one mentoring sessions and conversations, phone calls, Zoom calls with people that are interested in providing different types of yoga service and wanting to understand how to get involved. And as our organization has grown, we realize that we have so much to share. And we know that there are yoga businesses, yoga studios out there offering these amazing trainings who are really, it's a big job to offer a 200-hour, 300-hour training. And there's so much content to cover. And we figured if we can provide 2 or 3 hours of content to take some of the load off of directors of training, then why not do that? And it benefits us as an organization because we get a little bit of exposure out there, but really it's benefiting our communities as a whole, for people to understand how important this work can be, and how it's so much more, it can be so much more than teaching in a yoga studio. And that in itself, yoga is a gift. So teaching in a yoga studio and those programs are a form of seva themselves, but it can go deeper, and we can really expand our vision of what this work can be. And so this is just kind of planting the idea of bringing this program out to trainings, was just planting the seed, both for trainers and also for students who are considering teaching yoga, and even for those individuals who are just taking trainings for their own self-development. We know that happens a lot as well. When people enter teacher training, not always because they want to teach, but they just really want to dive into their own practice and greater understanding of what yoga can be.
That's right. That happens quite often.
Mm-hmm.
So SEVA, SEVA, what exactly is SEVA? What's the history behind it? How do we practice SEVA?
So seva, it's a Sanskrit word. Most often it's translated as selfless service. It comes from the roots saha, which means with that, and eva, which can mean to. So if you combine those words together, it can mean together with. And to me, it's really very similar to even the word yoga. It's unity, is coming together. And for me, the idea behind seva is that as we give to each others without expectation of things in return, without ego, especially as we give to others and put that giving above ourselves, it really becomes a spiritual act. So the together with, it's a spiritual act, which really brings us in greater connection with the divine, whatever that divine might be to you.
Beautiful.
And it can be practiced in lots of different ways. Seva can be volunteering in a soup kitchen. It can be giving your time in reading in a kindergarten classroom. It can be donating dollars. That's seva. And so it can be giving of time, it can be giving of resources, it can be giving of knowledge, of energy, in all different ways. My focus today is seva through yoga.
And what does that look like when it's seva through yoga?
So for Yoga in Action, it's providing free and accessible classes, mindfulness classes, yoga, breathing experiences to individuals who otherwise probably wouldn't have access. So folks that might not have the finances or transportation means, or even knowledge that yoga exists. If you're here today watching this through ChildLight Education Company, you probably have some familiarity with yoga and its benefits, but there are a lot of people out there who have different experiences who might not even know that it could assist them in some way. So I've worked with folks who are incarcerated, who are unhoused, potentially living on the streets and coming into a center for services, for people who are in recovery from substance misuse or maybe still seeking recovery, people living with cancer. Those are classes that I don't teach a whole lot myself, but it is one of our programs. So people who are living with cancer in treatment, or even their caregivers. We have folks that stay along with our programs who are in bereavement as well. And so they find communities where they can engage with other people of who've experienced like experiences. And that provides another degree of connection, which can be really healing in itself.
Connection and community are so important. And
Absolutely.
that's connection and community is something that I find yoga provides no matter where I go and what's happening in my life.
Mhm.
Having moved so many times, having experienced so many different shifts, and through the pandemic, even moving the whole yoga experience online, the connection was still there. The experiences could still be shared. And yoga brings people together.
I think that for me was one of the greatest teachings of the pandemic was how connected we can be as human beings, even virtually. Is there something about being human that that extends beyond the face to face, being right next to somebody? There's something about that that knowledge that in some ways we are all the same, that was just so well illustrated through the pandemic. And the friendships that I developed over those couple of years with people that I've never seen face to face, it's just absolutely incredible.
It is.
Absolutely incredible.
Even if we were having different experiences during the collective experience.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, well said. So, are there benefits to SEVA, practicing SEVA? I think you've touched on some already.
Sure. I mean, one of the most obvious benefits is that if you're giving to others who are in need, those individuals are benefiting in some way. When we're thinking about the connections, people who feel perhaps unseen are seen when we're practicing SEVA. And just the action of showing up to assist, to serve somebody, and maybe some of their most vulnerable times of life, to be there when it's really hard, um, that the benefit of that for those folks is huge. To go into, and these are extreme settings, like to go in and teach in a jail where nobody wants to go to jail, but to show up and to teach yoga in a jail, or to read books to folks in a jail, or an art class or therapy, any types of services there, to go in there willingly, shows that we care and that we see other people as individuals, as human beings who are maybe having or definitely having a tough time. But it takes the judgment away. If it's true seva and you're going in there with that intention to serve and genuinely serve, then people feel that and they see it. So there's that piece of it, is just being able to let people be seen. Benefits, other benefits, if we're talking about donating dollars, or providing food and shelter. We have our basic needs too. So beyond, there's yoga, as I consider that a basic need, but there are other needs too, which are, it's huge. The benefits of that are, there's no way to discount them, or it's very obvious. For us, when we're healing communities or healing individuals in some way, our communities become stronger. So it's not only the individuals who we might be seeing or serving in some way, but there's a ripple effect. So if you reach one child through teaching yoga who's got some challenges in their family, and they're bringing that home, or maybe not bringing the yoga itself home, maybe they're not doing postures or sharing a breathing exercise with mom and dad, but they're bringing that energy, that sense of calm, of well-being with them, then that ripples out into the family. So if we're touching one person, we're touching multiple people through any type of service. For us as providers, when you're serving others, it feels good.
Mhm.
And so that giving is healing for ourselves, something that I felt. And I think there are some things that just need to be shared. And yoga is one of them.
I agree. On the flip side, are there contraindications? Is there a bad side to SEVA?
I wouldn't say there's a bad side. There's no bad side to SEVA. There's no bad side to SEVA. I think there are things that we should be aware of and considerations that we should have, and that we should be aware of some of the things that can happen when we're providing SEVA. And one of those things is that it can be, it's possible for someone to give too much, to give and give and give and never receive, and to be depleted. And so if there's all of this energy going out and there's never any self-care, or there's never any acceptance of help from other people to nurture, then it's very possible to be depleted when you're providing service. And we see that in many fields. We can see that in the medical field. We can see that with first responders. We can see that with any type of caregiver, even in the home. Even if you're providing care for a family member, we can see that folks can be depleted. So there has to be some type of regeneration. Some things that you do for your own self-care when you're providing service to others. So that would be, if there is a contraindication, like that would be one of them. There is something in the field that we call compassion fatigue, and that can be if you're working in particularly challenging environments, where I see it most often in the recovery world. So people who are in recovery from substance misuse, and people who are providing that service, and seeing a lot. There's a lot of death right now. We're seeing a lot of overdoses, a lot of relapse, and people die. And sometimes, very often, it's difficult. It's heartbreaking for providers, and it's also can make folks feel angry, resentful, hurt, disempowered, and ineffective. And so that, again, it goes hand in hand with the sense of being depleted, but it's a little bit different, because one is a personal sense of being depleted, and one is more of a just, I've had enough of this, I'm not doing this anymore. So there's a little bit of a different mindset that goes hand in hand with it. But it's another thing to be aware of, that so if you're doing service work and start feeling these sensations of either not being able to feel supported yourself, or being really, I think angry is the word that comes to mind the most, angry and resentful of the folks that you're serving, it's a time to check in. See, what can I do here to support myself better in this work?
Angry, resentful, not wanting to show up, needing a rest.
Yeah.
It's important to take a rest, step away for a little while. And I think that people that are serving others end up perhaps with this sense of guilt if they do step away for a while. but it's so important that that does happen, or it's that whole, you need to fill your cup. If your cup is empty, if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of other people.
And I see it a lot. And it's not always the communities that we're serving that can cause those problems, but it's all the stuff that goes on in our own lives too. And
Mhm.
we have a teacher who's just was just yesterday reached out and has had some health issues and was going to give her notice, stop teaching. She teaches one class a week and wasn't feeling like she can't teach anymore. She's been sick, her husband's been sick, and there's family and lots of people involved. And I said, well, I'm just going to offer this. You don't need to do it, but why not take a few months off? Take a leave of absence. We'll hold your spot. Revisit in the spring and come on back when you're ready. And that's exactly what she's going to do. And so that's something that's built into our programs with the teachers they all happen to be, they're independent contractors who work for Yoga in Action, is that if somebody needs some time, take the time, take a few months off, reevaluate when you're not in really a crisis mode yourself, because we all have life that happens. And it's an awful lot to manage your own life and then also be giving to others at the same time. And sometimes we really need to stop and take care of ourselves and our loved ones first, and then be able to help others.
Right. And being in this line of work and being in this community, there's no one better than people like you that would understand that. Step away, take a break, take care of yourself, and then come back when you're ready. You don't have to completely cut the ties.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then if it turns out that that has to happen, then that's okay too. But
Right.
I always feel like it's when things are all in disarray is never the best time to make a decision.
No, it's not.
It's like, let's just wait till things calm down a little bit and then make a decision.
And
Um,
especially not at the first of the year when everyone's making all these new
oh my gosh, right?
intentions and resolutions.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, did you have any stories that you wanted to share with us from a class or
Yeah, I did.
experience?
It actually ties right into that whole thing about self-care and the benefits, contraindications like of doing this type of work. And one of the things that I find that helps me is to talk about some of the classes that and some of the experiences that we have in the classes that we're teaching at Yoga in Action. And I substituted at a class last week, and afterwards I was asking him, so how did your class go today? And I was like, well, and it was amazing in some ways because I was teaching at it's a residential program for young women who are it's an intensive inpatient program, residential program for young women who are pregnant or who are new mothers. So they come in when they're pregnant and they give birth in this program. And in some ways you go and it's great. There's pregnant moms and new babies and all of that. But what we don't always know is that, and often don't know anything at all, is about like what got them there. And went into class, and there was a young woman who the others were pretty friendly and chatty as we started, and I was introducing myself because I was the substitute for the class, so they didn't know me. So I was just reaching out to each of the women and having them sign in and asking their names and telling them my name. And there was one who was more reserved than the others and looked very uncomfortable. And I introduced myself and said, "It's nice to meet you." And she didn't say anything. It's like, okay. So I just moved on, did my thing, and started teaching the class. And she shared that she had, at the beginning of class, she shared that had been sore, like her legs hurt. She's not going to be able to do much because her legs hurt. And they didn't know what was going on with her legs. And so a little bit further into the class, I showed her a posture. We were doing child's posture, which is one where you sit back on your, on in table position and scoot back. So you're sitting back with your hips back towards your heels. And I showed her that she could do this posture with a big pillow, a bolster under her body to support her. And she tried it. And she felt really good. And so then she started to share a little bit more. And long story, I could talk about this like moment by moment forever because it was a pretty remarkable experience. But the long story short was that just a month, it had only been a month, I remember. Yeah, it had been just a month before she had been in jail and had pain in jail and was rushed to the emergency room. They couldn't figure out where her pain was coming from. And while she was in the emergency room, she learned that, one, she had cellulitis, which is a very common life-threatening infection, very often associated with intravenous drug use. So she had cellulitis and she was pregnant. So she learned both of those things and then went directly from jail into this residential program. So she went from whatever life she was having, which was a life, assumption she was having some sort of life, into this residential program where all kinds of rules and immediate detox and she's got this lingering pain, probably still some underlying infection that hasn't cleared out. So they're getting back to the doctors. And so the story behind it is just heartbreaking. Yet the story about the benefits of being there and serving and seeing her at the end of the class resting in Shavasana with her face from all rugged and tense in the beginning of the hour to completely soft at the end was a really good class. So for me, like one of the things that helps me is to be able to acknowledge that and not pretend that it's all rosy, to be able to say, wow, this work was really hard. This was a hard day. What I heard, what I learned when I try to put myself into her place is really heartbreaking, and nobody should have to go through that. So that's, that piece is healing for me to be able to talk about it. So thanks for letting me do that.
Thank you for sharing that story. Thank you for doing the work. Thank you for sharing the practice of yoga, because through you and your knowledge and bringing it, for showing up, sharing the practice with her, you helped her find what lives within her, that peacefulness. That's the beauty of the practice, which she may not have found on her own if you hadn't showed up. That's why we do what we do.
Absolutely.
That's why we show up. Thank you for sharing that story. It's lovely.
Thank you.
I wish her all the best, and her baby and her future.
Yeah, she's in a good place.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that program exists.
Me too.
And Yoga in Action. So, how can people learn more about SEVA, about Yoga in Action? How can they get involved or start something in their area? What you've inspired me and everyone watching. What are next steps?
Oh, well, there's so many ways to get involved with with service. You know, lots starting off in your own community, seeing where there's a need and offering your services is a great way to do it. To, you know, as a volunteer, um, as we're talking about those contraindications and stuff, be sure that you know where you're going and have some sense of the what the environment is like, what the culture is like, and if you don't have direct life experience or specific training, make sure that you do some research ahead of time. For example, so if you have no experience with cancer, don't go in and offer a yoga class for cancer people who are in cancer treatment, that type of thing. Um, it's good to have like some kind of training, knowledge, experience, so you can identify with the communities that you're serving and be able to um, provide resources that are accessible, available, and appropriate, which is that's not always taken as the right word, but that are going to benefit them in the best way possible. So you want to be familiar with the communities that you're serving. Um, so look, if there's a place, if there's something that you're called to, like go to those places and see if there's a way of helping. There are a few other yoga service organizations around, so you can reach out to them. As I mentioned, I'm always happy to provide some guidance, and I've done it many times over the years. This is just something that I do, is like help people figure out where it is, because lots of times folks are called to serve, but they don't really know where. It's like, I want to give back, I want to give back, but there's so many different directions that you can go. And so trying to identify where it's going to be the most beneficial for you as an individual as well is really important. As far as yoga in action, we have as I mentioned, our teachers are independent contractors. So we have our model is a little bit different. Some folks think that yoga service has to all be volunteer. And I do want to be really open about the fact that yoga in action, we do compensate our teachers. And that model is to help make the work sustainable as a whole. Because as teachers are volunteering, sometimes you might not be able to do that forever. So when I first founded the organization, it had been after many years of volunteering in different locations where I would go in as a new teacher and say, oh, well, so and so was teaching this class and they left because they got a better job, and that kind of thing. So we do provide a small stipend for our teachers, and that's what is, and that allows us to also have substitutes. So when somebody needs a 3-month leave of absence or a 1 day off, we have somebody to cover, which provides an ongoing continuous service, hopefully, in the organizations that we're teaching. So we very rarely have to cancel a class, and I hate it when we do, but it happens on very rare occasions. So I did want to be clear about that, as it doesn't all have to be volunteer to be considered good work. Right? We all need to earn right livelihood to be able to live in this world. So that piece is important. As far as finding us, you can reach out to us. The website is yogainaction.org. So you can find us on our website. My email is rochelle.jewell@yogainaction.org. There's 2 L's in Rochelle and in Jewell. I think you will be probably putting something at the end of this video for that.
We'll flash that on
Um,
the screen here.
yeah, we'll put that in there at some point. We have a Facebook page and Instagram, so we're on social media. So if you want to learn about programs that we are doing, you can follow us. We also have an email list, of course, so you can reach out and we'll add you to that list if you're interested in receiving information about our events and our classes. We have classes that are available in our communities, those in-person classes, but we also have a lot of virtual classes. So particularly for the cancer community, we have several Zoom classes per week. So if you know anybody who is affected by cancer, you're welcome to join those classes. And we also have 3 community classes per week that are totally free and available to anyone. One is a meditation class on Monday mornings. We have a yoga class on Tuesday nights, and we have a breathing class on Friday mornings. And so you can sign up for them on our website and join at any time via Zoom.
And you mentioned events. Do you have any big events coming up, perhaps?
Oh, yes, we do. I nearly
Now,
forgot to mention it.
this will be on our YouTube channel for quite some time. So this may be this event that you're about to talk about, maybe in the past once somebody sees this video. But this event that you are about to talk about is an annual event.
Absolutely. So it's okay if it's past because it happens every year. So February 18th of 2024 will be our 16th annual Yoga Mala. Our theme for this year is Allied for Action. And it's really about the idea of us all coming together as community to help bring this work forward to the populations that we serve. So the Yoga Mala is a 3-hour yoga class event followed by a community gathering. So it's actually 4 hours from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time. The in-person event is in Dover, New Hampshire, and it is 108 sun salutations. We've got some meditation, some cooling down before and after that. We have several teachers who will be participating, including Sally this year will be on our stage in person, and I'm super excited about that. So there's a registration fee to attend, either in person or via Zoom. And then we also ask people who are attending the event to fundraise and to help raise money to support Yoga in Action. So our goal for this year is to raise $50,000. It is our biggest fundraiser of the year. And for 2024, that $50,000 is reflecting about 1/4 of our budget. And we'll fund fully 10 classes for the entire year. So it's, I think we can do it. I'm really excited. We've got some really great energy behind it already, and it's just a really inspirational event. And I'm hoping that some of you out here that are seeing this before February 18th are able to join us. And if not, it is an annual event, and we've got other things that happen all year round too. There's lots of ways to support. You can also donate anytime during the year, of course. We are a nonprofit, we're a 501c3, and I think that's it for my shameless plug.
Very exciting. And you can participate in person, or it will also be streaming online, correct?
Yep, it'll be on Zoom. So we'll be setting up at a Zoom class. And if you register in person and are not able to join in person, everybody who registers will receive the Zoom link. So you'll be able to, if something happens last minute, you'll still be able to attend.
Super.
Which is something that's, it's a really nice little perk for us to be able to offer these days.
It sure is. I, for one, know that I've already started working up to the 108 so I don't show up that day and collapse on my mat after 27 rounds. So,
For you, because I have something. I was like yesterday and the day before, I was like, what the heck did I do to my triceps? I haven't done anything and my triceps hurt, and I didn't even do one yet. So I don't know.
uh-huh.
Gotta
Yeah,
get, yeah.
we have a few weeks here.
But even that is accessible. We have chairs that are available for anybody. We have people who come and do chair yoga through the Yoga Mala, so you're welcome to do that as well. Not you,
Many
Seth.
variations. Not me.
No, but
Um,
it's one of the things that I love most about Yoga Mala is looking around the room and seeing people in all different positions,
mhm.
taking a break and taking care of themselves and honoring the practice, because it's not the accomplishing the 108 is amazing and it has its energy in itself, but it's really about being in community and being together in service to others. That's why we're there.
Yes. Just showing up,
Yeah.
being together. Rochelle, thank you so much for your time today, your kindness, your energy, your inspiration. I don't know, you're the backbone for many people, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. And to all of you out there watching, until next time, take good care and go do good things out there. We'll flash some information on the screen for you to follow up with, so you can find Rochelle and Yoga in Action. And be well. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.